welcome back to Cooking with Kat and Steph. Hello, Dysphagia community.
Hello.
How are you today, my friend?
I'm good.
Good.
I'm good.
Thanks for letting us have a brief hiatus last week while I was driving halfway across the country. We made it safely.
No, we had talked about doing a live from the road, but it was
Yeah.
it was easier to talk about than to do. So
It really was. Being on the road for 14 hours, there's you just can't quite comprehend that. So welcome back, everybody. We're so happy to be here. We're so happy you're here. We are going to talk about protein because that was one of the things while I was on the road that really, really hit me was that it's really hard to get enough protein in when you're traveling. So we're going to...
And for some people, when you're not traveling.
And for a lot of people, it turns out when you're not traveling, yes. So I bought some of these protein drinks, muscle milk protein. And anyone that's on, sidebar, please say hi. Please tell us where you're watching from. Please ask questions. We're so happy to have you. I was not impressed with these muscle milk. I will drink them because I bought them, but they have a weird aftertaste. So 25 grams of protein when I was driving, it was okay. It was fine, but not my favorite thing I've had this year. So we're going to make dessert and dinner.
High protein dinner.
High protein.
High protein dessert.
Yes. So we're going to do ham and bean soup.
Yes.
We've made ham and bean soup before. Hey, Kara from Dallas, nice to see you. Hi, Karen from Georgia, nice to see you too.
Hi,
so
ladies.
happy you're here. All right, so I'm gonna get our burner going. So to start, in the pot on the stove, we're gonna do onion, garlic, green bell pepper, celery, and carrot. And then I picked this thing of thyme this morning, so I'm just gonna literally throw that in there once we get the jus in, and then I'll pull out the stem afterwards, and we'll just have whatever flavor it imparts. Because I got a ton of thyme, so this is literally one branch. And I did wash it, but I'll try to get all the cat hair off. Sorry, that's gross. I apologize. Story of my life.
I didn't see any cat hair on it.
There wasn't much.
You got it.
Okay, so pan's heating. We're going to add some olive oil. We're going to add all of these things and just let them saute just a little tiny bit. So why is protein important? Oh, for so many reasons.
Tell us about it, Kat.
So,
tell us. I know this is your thing.
I love it. The word protein originated from a Dutch chemist in 1838. So the word protos is a Greek word that means of prime importance, and it's only of second importance to water. Water is even more important than protein, but protein is of prime importance. So we need it in our bodies because it helps with enzymes, which help us digest food and with all these chemical reactions that are happening. It helps with our hormones, which are so important for both men and women to have their hormone levels at the right level. And if you don't get enough protein in, you can't make hormones. And if you can't make hormones, you're going to feel it because things will just feel off. And we're talking all the hormones in your body. There are a lot of them. Oh Lord, there's a lot of them.
Too many to talk about today.
Too many, yes. And then structurally, your organs, your muscles, your bones, your everything, your hair, all of these structures in your body are built with protein. Your immune system. You do not have an immune system without protein. So you need to make sure you're getting enough. And then protein helps transport things through your body. So it's like the mailman. When you have a really important package that you need delivered, you need to trust that mailman is going to get it to your house, right?
Right.
Very, very important. And then storage. Proteins help us store things in our bodies in the right place. They help with fluid balance. They help keep in your bloodstream. So people that have like swelling in their legs and in other parts of their bodies, a lot of the time it's because there's not enough protein in their bloodstream. All right, it smells warm.
Yes. Do we need oil in here?
Oil, yeah. Throw me some oil in there.
Olive or regular?
Olive, yes. Beautiful. All right. Onion, garlic.
You want these too?
Yeah. Let's throw them all in there.
Green bell pepper, celery.
Yep. And some carrots. Okay, and then for dessert, we were thinking cottage cheese pudding to start with, but I didn't want to make a trip to the store just for cottage cheese. And we have ricotta. So, ricotta doesn't have quite as much protein, but we're going to add a little bit of tofu. It's going to be fun. So, the ricotta has 4 grams of protein per quarter cup. And we're adding 2/3 of a cup of ricotta, which is just shy of 3/4 of a cup. Oh, it smells so good. All right. So we have white beans that we purchased already in a jar, in a can, however you want to do it. You can do them from scratch. If you put in beans that have not been soaked, this will take like 3 hours. Our beans are already cooked, so we should just, basically, we're just infusing all the flavors in there. We'll puree it right at the end. So then we have chicken broth. So we're going to add, this is about halfway-ish full. We're probably going to add all this, and I have extra just in case we need it. So protein comes from your food. Your body needs all the different kinds of sprouts, like.
Hold on.
Holding. We lost it for a second. Okay.
I was being spammed.
Oh.
I hung up on them.
Thank you.
It said telemarketer.
All right. So I'm going to add, oh, I think I got this upside down. Well, shoot. Okay, so it's actually closer to 1/4 cup. I have it upside down. It's okay. Just going to go with it.
It will be fine.
It's going to be great. I've winged a lot of cooking projects in my life, and they've all turned out wonderfully. So I have tofu, because tofu is high in protein, and it usually blends very, very, very smooth, and it absorbs the flavor of whatever it is you're adding. So you can do this with chocolate. You can do this with fruit. We're going to use peanut butter because it's high in protein. So you want to throw in like 2-ish teaspoons to a tablespoon of honey.
Yes.
Just eyeball it.
Yes.
It's going to be wonderful.
So
okay.
I was heating this up because it was homegrown and it's raw, so it's solidified some.
Yep.
So I had to heat it up.
All right. So you can add sugar, you can add maple syrup, you can add honey, you can add coconut sugar, you can add whatever kind of sweetener that you want to this.
It's probably about 2 teaspoons.
2 teaspoons, perfect. If we
good?
need to add more, we'll add more. This is extra firm tofu. I don't think that it matters. It should still puree just as well. So let's see if I can see. Okay, we've got just a little bit less of the tofu than we had of the ricotta. So I'm going to toss that in there. Well, now it explains why I couldn't get the thing apart, because it's upside down. I didn't check it. It's all right. And then I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of peanut butter powder.
Do we need a liquid? Or does it just liquefy?
It should just liquefy, but if it does not, we'll add a little bit of whatever liquid we have. Now I do have yogurt. I could have used yogurt instead of tofu in this. This is non-fat plain yogurt. So the serving size on the tofu is 3 ounces, has 7 grams of protein. This yogurt is 5.3 ounces for the serving, and it has 14 grams of protein. So either way you do this, you're going to get a nice amount of protein. And then the 2 tablespoons has 6 grams of protein for the peanut butter.
Now the original recipe called for cottage cheese, just straight cottage cheese.
Yeah, it was cottage cheese, and I think that recipe I had was chocolate. This one was chocolate as well.
Okay.
So, and I can post both the different recipes if you all want to try it. Let's see what happens. Maybe. We might need a little liquid. Is that what you're telling me?
I think we need a little liquid.
Okay.
I think we need a little liquid.
We need a little liquid.
Do you want oat milk or...
Let's use...
I have oat milk or I have coconut milk.
Let's do coconut and see what happens. It might add a nice little bit of flavor in there. Oh, goodness. I forgot about my stuff here.
We're going to use oat milk.
Okay, great.
Sorry. I shouldn't have offered coconut.
That's okay. This might have gotten a little bit scorched. Don't tell anyone. Does it smell bad?
It'll be fine.
I got it a little bit hot. Okay. So with protein, there are 20 different amino acids that you need to do all of the processes in your body. In animal products like meat and dairy and fish, all of those amino acids are in those things. In plant-based, they don't have all of them. So, with our plants, we need to mix and match different foods, like beans and rice. Together, they are incomplete, or apart, they are incomplete. You put them together and you get a complete protein. So you get all 20 of those amino acids. If you just have the rice or you just have the beans, you're missing a couple. So you can't elevate your nutritional status to the point where it needs to be if you don't have all 20 of those amino acids together. So for vegetarians, there's a very specific formula with your like tortillas and beans, or your rice and beans, and all of those things in order to get every amino acid that you need for your body to function well. One more blend?
One more.
Okay. I'm going to add our beans and our ham to our soup.
It's really weird.
Yeah, it sounds like it's getting thicker. Is it getting thicker?
I want to see it while it's... Oh, yeah,
it's moving. Very, very slow, but it's moving. Good. So then the little bit of extra liquid in this, because we altered it a little bit,
because of the tofu, probably.
Really helpful, yeah. So Kara, in this recipe, firm or soft tofu does not matter because it's being pureed. If you were putting the tofu in like a stir fry, or if this was going to be your main event, you would want to use the firm. But anytime you're putting the tofu into something that's going to be pureed, it doesn't matter whether you want to use soft or firm. Totally up to you. So we start... Oh, because I put them right here already. Sorry.
Oh, I was like, where did all my spoons go?
I stole them. How is it? Is it weird? Ooh. That's nice. I like it.
So it's a little bit sandy, but I think that's because the peanut butter peanut butter powder hasn't really been absorbed yet. So
yep. So the recipe says to let it sit for half an hour. And then
the taste is divine.
The taste is great, and it's nice and thick. So if you see this, it's nice and thick, but it's not like pudding or like cement thick.
No, I would say it's not nice, quite watch. I will.
It's nice and soft.
Can you see that? Yes, you can see that.
Yep.
But beautiful. I think it will thicken as it sits, because I think that peanut butter powder is going to be absorbed by the liquid in the...
Yeah, I think so too. All right. So now we're going to pop these in the fridge while our soup is cooking. And we'll come back to those and check out their texture when we're done. So your body absorbs protein, right? You gotta chew it up first. So if you can't chew well, it's important to choose protein sources that are softer. Some of the harder to chew proteins are like steak and dried chicken, and sometimes pork, depending on the kind of pork. Some fish is very, very soft. If you braise your beef, you can get it very, very soft, fall apart tender. A lot of meats don't puree well unless you really know the techniques to puree them. So we are using ham today, and this has very little gristle. It was chopped up already. So we kind of got to pick and choose what pieces were going in there. If you can do that, that's best. So you chew and then you swallow, right? So we want, if you're having swallowing difficulty, we want you to choose protein sources that are easier to swallow or softer and easier to chew. So something like yogurt that's completely smooth, and you can flavor it however you want. You can add a little bit of honey, you can add a little bit of maple syrup, you can add some fruit puree, totally up to you. This is 14 grams of protein. I would say for most people, we want you to aim for 20 to 25 grams of protein at each meal minimum. This can be very hard to do. I understand. If you need some help, as a dietitian, this is one of the things I do, so let me know. So after you swallow it and it gets down to your stomach releases hydrochloric acid, which starts to break down the protein into small pieces. So after it leaves your stomach, it goes into your small intestine, and your small intestine continues to break it down with the help of enzymes that are made with protein even farther. So then once they're broken down into teeny tiny little amino acids, then your body can absorb them and put them wherever it needs it. So for a lot of our clients that they say they've lost a lot of weight, their hair's not great, their fingernails don't look good, their skin looks a little bit sad, and their teeth are struggling. Once we correct the protein deficiency that's going on and we get them to the point where they can gain some weight, after the course of 3 to 6 months, because it takes a while for your body to redistribute, because you got to keep getting protein in, right?
Well, and it's going to give protein to the most important areas first,
like your brain.
So yes,
and
like your brain and your heart and so it will help to regulate your hormones. So those people who are women who don't have a period anymore because they're
malnourished,
and those kind of things you're going to see first before you start seeing muscle bulk.
Yep. And we see some of our clients, they'll come on to, and they'll go, I had a period. And we're like, yes, this is a huge win. Because it's one of those things we don't necessarily think about until you don't have it anymore. And it's because you're malnourished.
Right.
So once we can correct the protein, because with protein comes carbs and fat, right? Because we don't just eat protein alone a lot of the time. You're not just going to eat a piece of steak or some hamburger. You're going to eat it with other things. Right. So once we correct the protein, everything else tends to follow. well.
Right.
So, the ones that your body doesn't absorb or digest, they leave your body with the other waste. So that's the process from eating it to your body using it. So one of the other important things that your body needs protein for is for your DNA, because your DNA, it's constantly replicating. And without protein, your DNA cannot make appropriate copies that you need in order to stay healthy. So you need to make sure you're getting in all 20 amino acids all the time so that your DNA is producing copies for every function in your body properly. And there's been talk about how your DNA is sometimes it makes incorrect copies. It happens. That's just part of the process. But we can support that process by putting the right things into our body so that our body has all the tools that it needs to do everything it's supposed to do. So that's, I think, the most basic part of protein. So a lot of times, for example, breakfast. This pudding with ricotta and tofu, you could do it with cottage cheese, would make a great breakfast. You can flavor it with fruit, you can add chocolate, you can add peanut butter, you can add caramel, you can add all kinds of different flavors and do this for breakfast. You could also do, if you can tolerate oatmeal, you can do oatmeal. And there are companies out there now that are making high protein oatmeal. And I'm a big fan of those. I love them. I am a big believer that if you get enough protein in first thing, your day starts off with the best foot forward possible.
Agreed.
And most people feel better when they get protein in first, and they have fewer cravings for high carbohydrate foods that are low quality, like donuts and things like that.
I'm not a huge early morning breakfast eater.
Right.
I don't get hungry for breakfast until about 10-ish.
Right.
And usually around 10 is not a good time to grab breakfast.
Not for your job, no.
No.
You're way too busy.
So I tend to add protein to my coffee. I do a protein coffee, like a coffee latte with protein powder. And that holds me through it, and it's perfect. I've got the mornings that I do that, I have so much more energy.
Yeah.
And I don't feel snacky the rest of the day.
Yep. Yeah. It sets you up for success. Yes. So
I added more water. More.
Perfect. Thank you.
I didn't open that. I just did some
bouillon.
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever works.
Yeah. It was too much.
So I'm a big fan of, I know there are other dietitians out there that don't like supplements. I really like a good protein drink supplement, because for those people that don't like to eat in the morning, it's easy. I was doing this for my husband for years. I would buy Boost and I'd stick him in the fridge because he's not a breakfast eater either. He does not want to eat in the morning.
It just makes me sick.
Yeah, for a lot of people, it's just not great on their system, and when you don't feel good, your brain can't operate well. So we don't want to cause you to feel bad by putting food into your body if you're not ready.
Right.
So something like this that's more of a drink that has 25 grams of protein is great, because you can sip on this over the course of an hour or two, if that's how long it takes you, and that's fine, because it's still getting the right nutrients into your body first thing. And then we have clients where we say, use this as a snack. Like, pour yourself a cup, a small glass, and drink it over the course of half an hour. Stick this back in the fridge, and then an hour or two later, pour yourself another little glass, carry that around, and then you've added an extra 25 grams of protein in, because you're doing it throughout the day.
Which is healthier for you anyway.
Yeah. So I guess the other thing I will add is that if you don't have the right amount of protein and the right types of amino acids in your body, you can't process other things like B vitamins.
Oh.
And for all of those clients of ours that are like, my hair is doing this, my hair is falling out and it looks really dull and it's breaking and my fingernails look terrible, and we will do the, well, are you on a multivitamin? But I also always ask them about protein too. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you've noticed this too, because your body cannot do its main functions, which includes processing and putting all these B vitamins and other vitamins and minerals to their proper places without protein.
Right.
So, protein first. Get your protein in first. And like I said, I don't care how you do it. We can get creative.
Right. And another one of the things that Kat and I always talk with people about is eat the bulk of your nutrients and calories and whatever your body needs first. Mm-hmm. Because when you have dysphagia, the risk of not being able to finish a meal because of the swallowing issue is great.
Yeah.
So we would rather you eat the high calorie, eat the high nutrient dense things first, so that if your muscles do fatigue and you have to take a break, at least you've gotten a bulk of your nutrition in.
Absolutely. You do the protein water also.
I do.
Right? And that's a really, really wonderful option. We use this like fruit flavored protein drink for my bariatric patients in the hospital. Mm-hmm. And it's really, really great because it gets the really important stuff into the body so it can heal.
Yep.
Because this is the other thing I haven't mentioned before. If you have an injury or a break and you need to heal, or you had surgery, you need protein. If you don't have protein, extra protein. So all of us need a certain amount, just like we all need a certain amount of calories every day just to sustain basic life functions. So for most, maybe I won't throw a number out there. That'll get too convoluted because everybody's different. Yeah. Everybody kind of has a different number. And our needs change day to day depending on how active we are or how sedentary we are. So last Wednesday, we drove from South Bend to Fargo, North Dakota. It was like 14 hours in the car. I did not need as many calories that day because I wasn't moving as much. Kara says, what type of protein is it?
Which one?
The protein water. Do you want to grab it out of the cupboard so we can show her? We'll show you the container. Hi, Mark. Carnation. Yeah. I'm a huge fan of the Carnation Essentials. Yeah. It's really... Oh, and you had mentioned that acacia fiber before. Love that too. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this is my protein water. It's Isopure. And it calls for 1 scoop is 25 grams of protein.
Which is just under an ounce.
In 10 to 16 ounces of cold water.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I add more water because I don't.
It's too strong.
It's a little bit too strong for me. Mm-hmm. So I'll make a great big shaker jug full of it for the day, and I'll just sip on it throughout the day because I don't eat enough protein in my diet.
Yeah.
So if I didn't have my protein coffee in the morning, then I go for a protein water throughout the day.
Yep. Mark, I love this recipe. If you don't mind, I'm going to plug that into my food log app and set up the recipe, and I'll put that on our Facebook page if you're okay with that. Because I think that's a really, really wonderful recipe. I like that a lot.
Nice.
Yeah, because it's got the protein and the fiber. And while we're not talking about fiber today, also incredibly important for all of your health needs. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to throw this in. Make sure I got it all clean. I probably don't need all of it either. Okay. It smells amazing.
It does smell really good. And
Okay.
it doesn't look scorched. I mean,
and I have the
fine.
recipe. I have the recipe typed up. I just need to post it. Where can you get the acacia fiber? Mark, I think you said a couple weeks back you get it on Amazon, if I'm not mistaken.
But you could also look at Whole Foods.
Mm-hmm. Whole Foods probably has it, or
Vitamin Shop.
I'm also thinking a place like Fresh Thyme. The West Coast, they have Sprouts. Some of those like farmers market grocery stores may have it.
Yeah.
But I would get it on Amazon just because I know you can get it there. So I am a big advocate for you planning out even just breakfast during the day. Plan out what you're going to put in your body the first half of the day, because if you do that, you're more likely to succeed with your nutrition throughout the day. Yeah, Kara, check your Sprouts. Not having a plan is typically where people go wrong, because they'll start searching through their cabinets or cupboards or fridge, and then they just eat whatever's there. And a lot of the time, or they'll go to the store and they'll buy things when they're hungry.
Binge.
And make a terrible decision. Binge buying or binge, yeah. And then when you're starving, if you can get it in, this is where people eat too much.
Yeah.
Now, with dysphagia, we don't typically see people eating too much because you physically cannot get it in your body. So this is why having a plan is even more important, because you need to be prepared to start getting food in as soon as you're ready. And then having the protein water or the protein coffee or the protein shake throughout the day to support your needs. Now, Marcus has recommended the fiber. Love that. With the fiber and with the protein, it's really important to make sure that you're drinking enough water throughout the day. So having the water off to the side or in the protein, very helpful, because we need you to stay hydrated so that all of these functions that this protein is doing in your body can work well.
So Karen asked what she can add to her oatmeal to add more protein.
Yeah. So I am a big fan of the peanut butter powder. You can add a little bit of vanilla protein powder to it.
Or chocolate or caramel or whatever flavor you like.
Absolutely.
Even like a strawberry protein powder or...
Yeah. That's what that recipe had that I was telling you about earlier that we're going to do in the future.
Oh,
with
good.
Strawberry protein powder.
Yeah.
So I have to find some. All right.
I know
coming.
where it is. I saw
Deal.
it. I was looking for my caramel. So.
I
They
love
only
it.
had strawberry.
I've got all kinds of ideas. So, Karen, you could also make your oatmeal with a protein shake.
Yep.
Instead of with just plain milk or plain water. Now, if you're making it on the stove, obviously you have to be really careful not to scorch it, because milk and a protein shake will scorch easily on the stove. So depending on how you make it,
but you can do overnight oats and let it soak overnight and then
heat it up.
Just warm it up. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Karen, you can also add yogurt to it. Yogurt of your choice. Like I said, this has 14 grams of protein in it in this little container.
And there are vegan
yogurts
out there.
They are.
If you're interested in a vegan yogurt.
Yes, there absolutely are. And then I didn't plan for bone broth, but there is a significant difference in the amount of protein in a regular chicken broth or stock and bone broth. So if you are at the grocery store, next time you're there, grab a thing of broth, regular old broth, and thing of bone broth and compare them, because you will find that typically the bone broth has about 10 times more protein than the chicken broth does. So if you're struggling with, maybe you're just not getting enough meat in your diet and you're a meat eater, buy some bone broth and make like what we call consomme, which is just plain old broth. It's fancy, it's complicated to make, but it's basically just broth.
But you can make your bean soup with it.
Yep.
That will increase your protein
10 times as opposed to this.
And then if you're on puree, you can just puree the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what I like about this recipe is that beans puree really, really well. Mm-hmm. This ham should puree really, really well. All these veggies are going to be super soft, soft cooked. They're going to puree really, really well. And these beans are going to help it thicken a little bit. So if you need things a little thicker, you just add a few more beans into your soup. And if you need it a little thinner, you can always add less beans or add more broth. It's up to you. So Kara says, if you have an Aldi, they have a good, inexpensive organic bone broth. Yes. So I think actually this is where we discovered that, Kara, was that Stephanie hadn't been to Aldi before and stopped in there and got bone broth and was like, oh my gosh, look at this. And I was like, that's so cool.
And it was good. It's honestly the best bone broth I've tasted since I found that.
Yeah, is the one at Aldi.
I've bought it. I have gotten it at other grocery stores, and it wasn't as good.
Yeah, so true. So yeah, Kara, that's a fantastic recommendation as well. So I think, so like I said, ricotta doesn't have quite as much protein as cottage cheese, but there are ways you can bulk it up a little bit. We've been gone for a week, so we don't have a lot in our fridge, but typically there's cottage cheese at my house because my husband is like an old farm boy and eats cottage cheese. I'm going to laugh if he's watching right now and laughs at me later for saying that, but...
we eat it here too, I just don't have it. I have ricotta too.
Yeah, I mean, but ricotta's great too. So if you need ideas for protein, please reach out to us. Put a message on the Facebook page or in our group, Dysphagia Support for Nutrition and Swallowing. And we're here to help and provide resources and options. And if you need some one-on-one work, we do that as well. And then we devote a ton of time and effort into helping you meet your goals. So just let us know what you need. How's that soup doing? Are we ready to blend?
Yeah, I pulled out the stems. It probably could have cooked a little bit more to get more of it, but we got some.
That's okay. That's perfect. I think I have a few more tidbits of information here.
Good, you go for it.
Stress and physical trauma can increase your need for protein. So this could be mental stress or emotional stress also, not just physical stress. So it's really, really important that you are addressing what's going on mentally and emotionally as well as physically, because that can change your body's nutritional needs as well. So a couple of benefits of adequate protein. It reduces your appetite and helps control your hunger for longer. It can reduce the cravings and late night snacking, which we sort of talked about. We just talked about it during the day, but not late at night. It increases your muscle mass and your strength. It will improve your bone health. It helps you burn fat better. It helps to burn fat by increasing your metabolism. So adding just a little bit of protein, if you change nothing else and you're trying to maybe lose weight, if you add a little bit of protein, that can kickstart your body's ability to lose weight. And I've had friends who have been like, yeah, I started adding protein in the morning and I lost 4 pounds this week and I wasn't even trying. I'm like, well, that's just a sign that your body needed that protein. It can also help you gain weight if you're needing to gain weight. So adding that extra protein can help with weight gain. All right, Karen, yeah, I hear ya. So Megan, what would be a good breakfast with protein? So I'm a big fan of eggs. And for anyone with dysphagia, you can do soft scrambled eggs, possibly with a little bit of cheese. If you need extra flavor, like some salsa, you can always add some salt, add it into a food processor and just blend it lightly. But if you just need, if you're good, a couple of eggs. I am a big fan of yogurt with some high protein granola. If you can't do the granola, you can always do yogurt in like a smoothie and add protein powder to it. The other thing that I do is that we have done before, but we didn't think about for today, is you get your favorite cereal of choice and your milk, and you soak it overnight in your milk, and you make a smoothie out of it, and it tastes...
Add protein powder.
You can add protein powder to that. Yeah. You can like Stephanie was saying, add protein to your coffee. So in the past, I've added like chocolate protein and a scoop or two of the peanut butter powder, and it's made a fantastic like Reese's peanut butter coffee drink for the morning.
I've not tried that one.
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
My favorite is the salted caramel in my coffee. I have chocolate. I've done vanilla. Vanilla has always been my favorite, but I'm in search of my
salted caramel protein powder.
It's called slightly salted caramel.
Okay, question. Hot coffee or cold coffee?
Room temperature coffee.
Okay.
You don't want to put it into, especially a whey protein. I do the whey isolate because I don't handle lactose very well, but it needs to be room temperature, and then you can warm it up afterward, or you can ice it. I typically like to ice it.
Okay.
To have an iced coffee latte.
I had to throw that in there because I can just see someone trying to throw protein powder in their hot coffee and it curdling, and then it's terrible.
Been there.
It's terrible.
That's how I learned that.
Yep. All right, so we've got the soup.
I didn't want to start it while you were talking because we are using the Ninja today, and it is going to be loud. So if you have your volume turned up, please turn it down. That's one thing that we used to feel to remind people.
Put it on mute for just a minute.
Yep. Hold, please.
Oh wait, your thing at the top has to be down, right?
Okay.
That way. Yep. There we go.
Oh, that's totally it.
That's all right. So now, if you need it completely smooth, you're gonna want to put it in a blender like a Vitamix. The BlendJet does pretty good too. So the food processor here, there might be a little bit of texture.
Well, this is not the food processor. This is the blender part of my Ninja.
Okay.
The other one is the food processor
part.
So I stopped this before it was done. So you could just do it over and over again, and it looks pretty smooth.
Yep. So the other thing to remember is that we've seen recipes in the past that have said blend for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And people look at me a little bit crazy, or like I'm crazy sometimes when I say that, but it's okay. Your blender is meant to do that.
So I think if it weren't so noisy, I would do it longer to see how smooth, because it's beans. I think that it would get really smooth.
I agree. This looks, it smells, okay. It smells so good.
There are so many things that I prefer pureed that we've done over the...
We've done, do you want a normal size spoon?
Yes, I do, because I'm kind of hungry today.
Yeah, I am too. Okay, so this, and I'm going to post the recipe with the nutrition on it. I think I'm going to put it on our website on dysphagiaduo.com, and then I'll put a link on our Facebook page to the website. So that's on my to-do list.
It tastes delicious.
Yeah? Tell me what you...
I think it can be smoother. It's not completely smooth, but I think it could be with more time in the blender.
It just needs more time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the flavor's fantastic though.
The flavor is really good.
The ham. So we didn't add any salt either.
No.
The ham was salty enough.
Well, we also had broth that was not unsalted.
True.
So there was salt in the broth.
Mark says you can use a strainer. 100%. 100% you can use a strainer too.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. If you didn't have the time, or a blender that could
like a
have the
Vitamix
speed to get it to that level, that's a great option.
Yep. Yeah, and if you want this to be even higher, you can always add some tofu. You can add, if you need more calories in it and you can tolerate dairy, you can add some heavy cream.
And the tofu, I feel like, would help the smoothness.
It would. So there's just some things you learn after doing this for a long while. We follow a lot of the dysphagia groups on Facebook, and I love seeing the tips and tricks that people share with each other that you just learn through trial and error after doing this. Yeah. Yeah, shall we try our dessert now too and see how it thickened up? Yeah, the flavor of this is just spectacular.
Definitely thickened up.
That looks really thick.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this is our high or higher protein. I don't know exactly how much it has in it, but oh yeah, it definitely looks just like pudding.
Oh, yummy. Peanut butter pudding.
This would be a good breakfast also, actually. Yeah. This would be a fantastic breakfast. And you can make it ahead. So it's just ready for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll be posting that recipe as well.
It's delicious. I'm going to eat dinner first.
You can eat dinner first. I'm going to eat dessert first. All right,
Fair
everybody.
enough.
The last tip I'll give you is that getting enough protein on a regular basis can also help with managing blood pressure. So make sure that you're getting enough protein, because if you have any of these things going on, it's going to help. Please, if you have any questions, any tips, ideas for us, any recipe questions, or want us to make something, let us know. We're super happy to help.
We'd love some ideas too.
I'll post a link on Facebook to the site. So we have them under blog, and I have a recipes category. I just haven't added a lot to it yet. So we'll get those added as well. Yep.
All right.
Cheers, everybody.
Have a great week.